Do you love movies? So do I. What's up, y'all? It's KB, and I love movies, inviting you to listen to The Conversation, a film podcast where passion meets perspective and opinion. From the old school to the new, I invite a guest on to discuss the movies that thrill us, challenge us, break our hearts, or even blow our minds. There's always new episodes dropping wherever you get your podcasts. So join the conversation. We don't just watch movies. We love talking about them too. The Conversation with KB Loves Movies, a part of Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
The audio commentary. It's a dying art form, but here at One Track Mind, I, your wonky yet affable host Ryan Luis Rodriguez, analyze film through the prism of these embryonic forms of podcasting, one audio commentary at a time. Masterpieces, crapster pieces, live action, animation, cult classics, films literally no one has ever heard of. No track is too small and no track is too big. Join me and my guests from the entertainment world as we keep these features alive every other Tuesday. Hey, who else is going to discuss Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey one week and Citizen Kane the next? Us. That's who. Sure, you have to put up with my voice, but there's a certain give and take in this industry. That's One Track Mind, part of the Someone's Favorite Productions family, and available wherever you get your podcasts.
Cambridge and Rashawn is a Weirding Way Media podcast.
You flea-bitten fur-brain.
It's Big Jim's World of Adventure.
Hello and welcome to episode 15 of Cambridge and Washawn, a podcast by two weird guys about the weird things that they like. And
that's it. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time. I was trying to think if I had any updates or any. What did we talk about last time? I don't even remember now.
I have updates for when I talked about the Toxic Avenger.
Okay, let's hear it.
Actually, a correction. James Gunn wrote the movie that came up in conversation. Oh my gosh, what is the name of it? Tromeo and Juliet. He wrote that movie, and his wife at the time, Jenna Gunn, now known as Jenna Fisher from The Office, was not in that movie, but he wrote another movie called Lolly Love, which was another Troma film that she was actually in. So, yes, there was a James Gunn connection to Troma. And yes, Tromeo and Juliet was a movie that he wrote. But Jenna Fisher from The Office was in Lolly Love, which is another Troma film that he wrote, which was actually a little more like kind of a normal comedy for Troma. So, yeah, that's my amendment to my Troma excursion.
Yeah, I'm glad you caught it because I would never have. So I haven't seen any of those movies.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that they were a couple.
I wanted to get it right. Yeah, she was formerly Jenna Gunn. You can go on IMDb and look it up.
Look it up, people.
Look it up. Do your research.
Or do your research, Ronnie. You're the one that said it.
I know.
I'm trying to see what I talked about last time. I thought I had something.
Planet of the Apes.
That was you.
I don't have a correction, but I do want to say that I did get to see Charlton Heston in person at who's the actor who's in The Illustrated Man? Oh, it doesn't matter.
Rod Steiger?
Rod Steiger, yeah. Rod Steiger's Hollywood star that was awarded to him. That event, I just happened to be in Hollywood at the time, and Charlton Heston was there. I got to stand next to the guy, which was pretty cool. I stood right next to Charlton Heston. I was too nervous to shake his hand, But this other guy who approached Charlton Heston right away and tried to get his autograph had a giant tumor coming out of the back of his head with a Band-Aid on it. And oh my gosh, I will never forget that.
Did you whisper to Chuck, as I like to call him? Did you whisper, fuck the NRA?
Yeah. I said, I did. I slipped a note in his pocket, said, asked him to think about a few things. I don't think that made any impact at all.
And we've lost a few listeners. That's how it goes.
That's how it goes, folks.
From my cold, dead hands.
Well, since I'm hosting, that means you're up first.
All right.
What are we talking about today?
I guess we'll sort of roll out the connection here a little bit later on, but I'll go ahead and mention it slightly. There is an association between what I picked today to talk about and what you've chosen to talk about today. But it's quite a significant relationship, mainly because of Mattel. We're going to return to Masters of the Universe territory. This particular character has been on my mind. I mean, he's been on my mind since I was a kid, but he's slowly becoming a large part of my toy collection. In other words, I have several versions of him, and that seems to be expanding. So this guy is Mattel's Masters of the Universe Beastman.
You furry, flea-bitten fool, I'll cover my throne with your hide!
Savage henchman of Skeletor.
Is that how he's described?
Yeah.
On the packaging?
On the card back, yeah.
Cool.
So there were two action figures as a kid that I really, really, really wanted that I never found in the stores, never got as a gift or anything like that. And that was, of the Masters of the Universe line, these two really made an impact on me because I never got to actually have my own for my little toy shelf when I was a kid. And that was Skeletor and Beastman. My appreciation for Beastman extends beyond Skeletor. I liked Skeletor, but I was really strangely obsessed with Beastman. Partially the color choices. He has sort of almost like Kiss makeup. It's like white makeup with blue, kind of slightly Gene Simmons-y eyeliner going on and blue lipstick. Mm-hmm. And the orange fur, the red armor, the blue, the orange, the red, the white, all of that just did something to me as a kid. And this is very revealing, but I would just lay in my bed and stare at the ceiling and imagine dressing up as or having the toy or just being Beastman.
That's weird.
I know, it's super crazy.
Yeah, let it all out, Ronnie.
Yeah.
This is a safe place.
Thank you. I'm wiping the tears away as we speak.
This is a safe space, Ronnie.
Thank you. He made a really strange and powerful impact on me as a kid. And like I said, I didn't have him as a toy. My friends did. A couple of my friends had Beastman. I remember playing with him quite a bit whenever I'd go to visit or after school, hanging out with them and stuff. And it wasn't until later on that I figured out what Beastman, where he came from and kind of what he's all about. And my appreciation for Beastman, just to be clear, began in 1982, right around 1982, 83. Can't remember exactly if it was 82 or 83. My first impression of him was the card back art, the cross-sell art, before I even held the toy in my hand. And I think it was when I first got that trap jaw and I saw Beastman on the back of that card. And this is before I started watching the cartoon. So when I watched the cartoon, I remember the little critic in me was like, why is Beastman such a bumbling idiot?
Get over here, you furry fool!
He should be badass. There should be a brutal aspect to him. Because that's what he looked like on the back of the card. And that's what his toy looked like. Big arms, crazy face. And it wasn't until later on that I figured out that he was directly inspired, or I guess indirectly inspired. But the face sculpt is very, very similar to the 1979 Flash Gordon action figure Beastman. which was a blue Beastman, which is now on my eBay wish list. I'm always constantly, I don't know why I'm hesitant to spend $49 on him, but he's a little guy, and it seems like he's never really priced less than $40. But I guess I'm just waiting for the best looking version of him and at a reasonable price, and that's maybe asking too much because he's hard to find and he's gorgeous. You ever see those Flash Gordon?
I'm not familiar with the Beastman from Flash Gordon. I'll have to look it up after. No, I've seen the Target that I go to has some of the Repro Flash Gordon characters. I mean, they've had them for I think they've been on the pegs for a couple of years.
Yeah.
The card art's beautiful. I have no interest whatsoever in Flash Gordon or that scale that they're in. I don't particularly care for. But I think it's just, I'm not sure which figures they have, but every time I go and look at the quote-unquote pop culture section, they're sitting there. Now, it could be that they've sold them and they're restocking, but I have a feeling it's the same two figures that have been there the whole time.
Which is a little disappointing for me because I really wanted them to put out the Beastman. He would look great amongst my other Beastmen. You can see, because they use the vintage card back art for those Flash Gordon figures, those reproductions, those large scale reproductions, that you can see the Beastman face on the card back. It's just the blue screaming ape-like beast face. When they started developing the Masters of the Universe line, Mattel looked back at the previously produced stuff that they had made, the Flash Gordon figures,
those were Mattel?
That's right.
Okay.
The Big Jim line, in particular, the Jungle Adventure Gorilla. They wanted to create like a big ape-like gorilla guy that seemed like it was inspired by the Flash Gordon Beastman, but at a larger, bulkier scale, because that's what they were trying to go for with Masters of the Universe. And there was a character that Mark Taylor had created called Gygor that was based on the gorilla from the Big Jim line. I'm not sure who came first, but there was also this red beast design that was kind of like a bear-like beast. And so they eventually, the sketches merged into a kind of gorilla-like beast man that had red fur at first, that was similar in scale to similar to a gorilla size, like larger than the other figures. And then that evolved into just reusing the parts of all the other, of the other characters that they were developing. And Beastman became just sort of a normal henchman that matched the scale as the rest of the Masters of the Universe figures.
So was that Gygor thing supposed to be one of the Masters of the Universe figures?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. If you look it wasn't a standalone thing from another line.
He was kind of cool. He had yellow fur with black armor, and it was the gorilla, basically, just a repaint of the gorilla. We'll get into repaints later on when you bring up your your subject for today.
Repurposing is the word, is Pee-wee's word for today.
What's today's secret word?
That's right. Might be the name of this episode. If you look at the Flash Gordon Beastman, blue Beastman action figure face, and you look at the Mattel Beastman, the original Beastman face, they are very, very, very similar. They're it kind of looks like an ape in the middle of experiencing something painful or screaming out of some sort of anguish. It's a very expressive face. Downturned mouth, open mouth, fangs, wide eyes, and really did something to me as a kid. And so I got my hands on my first vintage version of Beastman about 5 years ago on eBay. It was a long time coming. There was the classics version of Beastman that came out in the early 2010s. And then there was the 2002 Beastman that came out in the early 2000s. After that, the I'm blanking out here. No, I think those were the two that were available. Oh yeah, the Filmation version of Beastman that came out from Mattel right before Super 7 took over the line. I had those previous versions as they came out before I got the vintage one. And when I finally got my hands on the vintage one, I think I got them for $15. It was a really good deal back when, just 5 years ago, the action figures on eBay were pretty reasonable.
Oh, the good old days.
The good old days, 5 years ago. Now Masters of the Universe figures are quite expensive.
I think all action figures are right now.
Yeah. It's because of us. It's because of people our age.
Well, yeah, and it's like when you go to a thrift store or to an antique store now, and everybody, because of eBay, thinks that they have gold. And so, instead of price to sell, it's like, I'm trying to get as much as I possibly can. Well, it's going to sit there forever. I mean, you go to the Clovis antique stores, and I don't go as often as I used to, but you would see the same stuff there over and over again because it's overpriced.
Yeah,
it's not antique store priced, or I guess antique stores are. It's not like a thrift store where you're selling stuff to help people out or whatever. But still, it's still junk that somebody had that they're trying to get rid of, and it's like, well, the same thing happens on eBay. I'm following an item right now that I know has been on there for 3 years at least.
Yeah.
Same item. It's listed at the same price. It's been listed out for at least 3 years. And I'm thinking, dude, you need to, really? You're going to hold out for that price? Why not drop it $50 and unload it?
I'm with you on that. Every time I go, there's this one Clovis antique store that has a really which one, has a really fantastic toy section. It's like in the back corner, and they've got old Disneyland stuff. They've got toys from the 80s and the 70s, some toys from the 60s, a lot of 1950s comic books and 60s comic books. And just, it's a really cool corner. Every time I go in there, I'll find something that's reasonably priced, but everything else that I really want, like the something that I get that's reasonably priced, is usually just to satisfy that itch. Like I got Cookie Monster for $3 the other day, but right next to that is this Disneyland lunch pail from, I believe, the late 60s or early 70s. It's absolutely beautiful, but has not changed from its $150 price tag. For years, just sitting there, just hungry for Ronnie to take it home once it gets down to a different price.
Yeah, if you're going to put something in an antique store where just Joe Schmo is going in, you need to lower it or put it for that price on eBay.
Yeah, I agree. And so, I keep waiting to find a 1979 Flash Gordon Beastman out there in the wild to add him to my Beastman shelf. Those of you who are listening can't see, but right behind me, I've got a whole glass pod dedicated to Beastman, right next to the glass pod dedicated to the Skeletors. And there's a variety of versions of Beastman in there. And just to bring this conversation current, there's a company called Mondo that makes these really deluxe, large-scale Masters of the Universe action figures. And for me, for the price, I've never really felt like a distinct commitment to that line. But they did send me a Skeletor not too long ago to review on my YouTube channel, which was really, really cool of them. That's right before Funko totally took over Mondo. So for you toy nerds out there, you may have known that was around the corner. And so the remaining folks that were there, they sent it to me, and then I've emailed them since for other things. And it's now a different situation over there. No critique. It's just a different situation. And so right around the time when everything switched, they announced a Beastman, a Mondo Beastman. I just fell head over heels for this thing, but it's way out of my price range. I simply can't afford to spend over $200 on. Heyo. I can't. It's just not. I
can't either.
It's not in the realm of consideration for me. on Thursday nights on the Skelevator channel on my YouTube channel, we've got a show called Toy Frenzy, which has just changed to being called The Frenzy, so we could talk about more things. There are 4, sometimes 5 hosts over there, and we all kind of all of our Patreons sort of share in discussions and share interests and chat about stuff. And they all got together without letting me know and contributed funds to get me that Mondo Beastman. And
wow,
I just I one of these days I made a little video to thank them. I'll put that out on my YouTube channel, but I was like seriously choked up and shocked by the generosity. And it just so happens that it's probably the toy of all toys. It almost feels like to collect anything after owning something like that is a waste of time and effort.
So you're done collecting?
Yeah.
Is that what you're announcing today?
I'd like to say that, but that's just simply not true. As last weekend, I bought a Cookie Monster from the antique store.
What kind of Cookie Monster?
I'll show you. He's actually, I thought he was older, but he's 2016. But he has a very vintage look.
I remember those. Yeah, I remember those. Saw them in maybe when we still had Toys R Us.
Okay, yeah, because Toys R Us did close around then. Yeah, this guy was really. It was really cool to find him. He's really a great sculpt, and he's solid PVC.
I thought maybe it was either a Fisher Price little person or the finger puppet, but
either one of those. I'm head over heels for those. Like those are on my list to get eventually.
Yeah, there's a set, or there's maybe not a set, but at one of those Clovis Antique stores, the last time we went, I saw a bunch of Fisher Price little people, and there were some, they were all in just beat up condition.
Yeah.
And I think it was going as a set, but man, I love those little guys.
Me too. They're perfect. The Fisher Price little people count is like on top of my list to get eventually.
Well, that's good to know. I'll write that down. Seriously.
Yeah, it's him and Sesame Street. Well, one of these days we're going to go deep. You and I are going to go deep with Sesame Street on here. We got to do that.
I was actually looking at them the other day on eBay, and I showed Cleo and Carlita the Snuffleupagus.
Oh yeah,
for the
yes,
so goofy. It's why would you do it as that kind of figure? I'm like, why not?
I do it. It doesn't make sense. Just do it, right? Just paint the shape, and there he is. Yeah,
we're taking a tangent here, folks. If you haven't realized,
it's time for another tangent,
and that's good. That's good. So I have not only do I have that Mondo Beastman now, I also got for my birthday a Beastman latex mask, which was made by the guy Mortarheads. We've talked about Mortarheads on here before, and I've got pretty much every version of Beastman that's been released so far behind me, and there's something real special about that guy. It's not the sharpest tool in the shed.
Of course, you worthless hunk of fur.
He's not the prettiest thing to look at, but there's something. He's probably the reason why. I mean, he made such an impression on me as a kid. He's probably the reason why I just really prefer the weirdest characters. I mean, Masters of the Universe, the Star Wars Cantina characters, like all those weirdos just do it for me. And Beastman's at the top of the list.
Do you have the Mega Construx Beastman? Because I have one sitting on my desk right here.
I do, in a box in the closet, yeah.
Now, I don't have I've got that prototype set of reaction figures from Super 7 that they did at San Diego Comic-Con or whatever.
Oh, man.
And I can't remember if Beastman was one of the 4 characters in that set.
I think so.
I'll have to pull that out. It's hidden away somewhere.
That's actually gone up in price quite a bit. That's worth a chunk of change now. It's a really great set. I'm glad you have it.
Mine's mint too, so maybe I'll sell it.
Maybe, yeah. I might buy it from you. I've got
$200.
$200, Ronnie. I got 3 reaction Beastmen behind me. There was one that I that I really, really wanted. So when Beastman came out in the mini comics, when he first appeared in the mini comics in 1982, these are small little comic books that came with the action figures. He was all red, and he had some gold accessories, minor gold elements, and he was mainly just a deep, deep red. And so the classics, I don't have this version of Beastman, but when classics came out, they released, I think it may have been a con exclusive, they released a mini comic version of Beastman. So he's just all red with some gold accessories. And then when Super 7 took over the license and they released those reaction figures, one of the this is funny, one of the reaction figures that they put out of Beastman was the all red mini comic coloration, and it was something that immediately, once it was released, it immediately went up in price. It was difficult to get. When the family and I took our very first trip to San Francisco to go to the Super 7 store, it was New Year's Day. It was right after the pandemic. We drove to San Francisco. We actually called the store just to make sure they'd be open, and we got misinformation. Someone said, or the recording said, that they were going to be open on New Year's Day. We got there and it was closed. Maybe somebody was sick and they couldn't be there or something. It was closed, and right in the window was I could see it through the window, the carded red mini comic Beastman reaction figure, and which at the store would be at normal price. At the time would have been about $17, I think. And then I just chalked it up to something I'd probably never get after a while. And then I did a trade with somebody online, and he threw one in, and I was just stoked. Sent him some toys, he sent me some toys, and that was one of them. So I finally got my hands on him. But yeah, Beastman is fantastic. A really special character. I have a lot of affection for him. He almost stopped me from collecting toys a few weeks back.
And you used to dream about him in your bedroom.
And I used to dream. I used to stare at the ceiling and dream about him. I mean, it gets a little weird. I was planning for Halloween. I could dress up like Beastman. I had it planned out. I could do the makeup, and then I could wear orange sweatsuit. I was just trying to figure it out. It was It was a high concern for me.
I get it.
Yeah, like blue underoos, orange sweats, a red furry vest, and white makeup, and there you go. You're Beastman.
Nice. It can still happen, Ronnie.
It might. It might. Now that I have a mask. Yeah.
Yeah. Now that you have a mask, throw the rest of that outfit together.
My family's already worried about me. Then if I do that, they're going to be like, "Yep, he's lost it."
That's weird.
All right, we'll take a quick commercial break and be right back.
What do we have here?
It's Castle Grayskull. And it's mine. Not so fast, Beastman. He-Man!
You can pit He-Man against Beastman, playing for the power of Castle Grayskull. You have to put the castle together. Beastman's escaping.
The throne, Dad. Dad, you saved the castle.
Castle Grayskull from the Masters of the Universe collection. He-Man and Beastman, each sold separately, from Mattel.
Are you a film fan who loves the ultimate home video experience? Look no further than The Disconnected. Your host, Ryan Verrill, is your go-to source for the latest and most accurate information on home video releases, exclusive interviews with industry insiders and filmmakers, and has established a thriving community where every film and physical media enthusiast feels welcome. From hidden gems to blockbuster hits, The Disconnected brings you insider knowledge and a welcoming space to share your love of cinema. Watch every Thursday night at 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific for the live announcements show, and follow The Disconnected on social media to stay updated. Subscribe to The Disconnected on YouTube or on the podcast provider of your choice, and dive into a world where every movie night is an adventure.
We're back from our ad break. Today, for me, this is a side quest obsession. I never had any of these figures when I was a kid. Like you never had Beastman. I never had any Big Jims.
It's Big Jim's World of Adventure.
And it's not a line that held a lot of space in my head as a kid. I don't really recall seeing them at the store. I know I didn't really actively look for them, and it could be that the line was pretty much already discontinued by the time that the one that did become an obsession for me was already gone from the stores. And so I don't really have like distinct timelines and everything like that like I do for some of this stuff. It came up, I'm not sure what I saw after the last episode, because I was going to talk about something else today. Something triggered this in my head, and I thought, oh, I'm going to start looking for this figure again, and then off to the races with the whole idea. So Big Jim was started in 1972 by Mattel. It was kind of their answer to G.I. Joe, made in the strange scale of 10-inch action figures, which wasn't a thing before then. G.I. Joe was 12. Barbie, which Mattel had, was 12. Migos, which had started, I believe, in 72 as well, were, of course, 8-inch figures. So it's just an odd scale. And that may be part of the reason also why I didn't have any as a kid, because I was beholden to that 8-inch Migos scale for some reason. And so it started in 72, their answer to Hasbro's G.I. Joe, basically. And since war toys or army toys were already on the way out, and G.I. Joe was already making changes, or Hasbro was already making changes to the G.I. Joe line to go away from that, these were just presented as all-American sports dudes. So you had Big Jim, Big Jeff, Big Josh, Big Jack, who was an early African-American action figure, Dr. Steel, and Chief Tankua. I always want to say Tanuka, but it's Tankua. So you had all-American dudes. Some of them had beards. They've all got that Kirby-esque or Stretch Armstrong-y, strong, wide face, strong jaw, cheekbone. Yeah, and they've all got that look, solid head of hair. And
none of the Big Jim guys were balding?
No. well, no, that's not entirely true. So they had there was like a basic line, and that was just a figure, and it came with trunks. And then they had an adventure line and a sports line, plus tons of accessories, clothing packets you could buy, like Barbie or G.I. Joe, and then vehicles, play sets, animals, all this extra stuff you could get. And it was a very popular line for a number of years. We've mentioned repurposing already, and a connection between this line and the line and Masters of the Universe, but the Big Jim line repurposed a lot of stuff from Barbie. It's a case where it makes a whole lot of sense, because anybody who's collected Barbie or had Barbies when they were a kid or are familiar, even nowadays, all the accessories, all the vehicles, all the play sets that come are slightly underscaled, just because Barbie's so tall. All the Barbie figures are 12 inches. And so to make vehicles and things like that, they'd be gigantic. So they're always a little bit underscaled, and the figures, barely fit in things. Since Big Jim was 10 inches, 2 inches shorter, all the vehicles and stuff that they repurposed sort of fit him better.
Yeah.
Her Corvette becomes his Laser Vet.
Yes.
A camper, I think she had an RV that became his RV. A plane that was a Barbie plane becomes a spy plane for Big Jim.
I love this.
And it's all companies do this, right? I mean, Hasbro does it, Kenner did it, and it's a great way to save money. Repaint something, you've got the molds, you might as well use them.
Yeah.
I don't look at it super cynically for the most part. I totally understand why they would do stuff like that. Plus, there's always a little change. I mean, the Corvette becomes the Laser Vet, and it's got these things that pop up now and, supposedly shoot lasers and all this stuff. So it's not like a direct one-to-one copy.
Right.
But I kind of love that ingenuity, I think, to go, what do we have that we can use and make it work for this line?
Yes, definitely.
And they're also like Barbie, or I think Barbies at the time, where they had those rubber-covered limbs that were jointed and would kind of click when you moved them. So her arms and legs, and I remember these from the ones that my sister had when she was a kid. So the joints were basically hidden by this layer of rubber. And at some point they had to stop doing that because of the chemicals that were in that rubber, because of kids like chewing on stuff. So for Big Jim, his arms were produced that way, where there's plastic jointed arms with a thick latex or PVC rubber over them, so that when you bend his arm, his biceps pop up.
Oh, man.
So all the figures came with this little, really super thin metallic band that you could put around his biceps and then flex his arms and it would pop the band.
That's hilarious.
You know, they hit the kung fu thing hard. He had a dojo set, like a karate kung fu set, and it would come with all these things that you could chop.
Yeah.
Because he had chopping action. There was a button on the back of all of them, and you could make their arms chop up and down. So there was wooden boards, pipes, all this stuff that they could hit. And one of those lines, kind of like $6 Million Man, that has a lot of playability to it.
I love that.
It's not just which I think Mego could be faulted for, although they tried to do this kind of thing later on. You know, they didn't have anything like that. It was just, they were superposable, 14 points of articulation, more so than these even. The only thing that bugs me about that is that's the kind of stuff that ends up breaking. And so when you're trying to collect stuff now, it's like, oh, does his arm still chop? And does it still do this? And does it still do that? And the two figures I have do work. Back to my personal experience with the line, I think the first time I ran into one of these figures was at my cousin Brian's. They lived down in Orange County, and we were there. It must have been mid to late 70s, and he had one of the Big Jim gold medal Olympic sports lines that came out in 74, a couple years after the 72 Olympics. So they didn't come out right around the Olympics, just took him a little while to get this going. But I just remember it was just a figure, nothing on, and his pelvis, which is generally either white or orange trunks for him, were, in this case, they had like stars and stripes on them. And I always assumed that it was a Mark Spitz figure because he had, swept the 72 Olympics in swimming and gotten 8 gold medals, a record that stood for years until Michael Phelps came around. There was a very famous poster of Mark Spitz in 1972 with his swim trunks on, and they were almost exactly the same thing. So just in my head, I just thought that was a Mark Spitz
that makes
action
sense.
figure.
That makes sense.
And I remember this was one of those instances where my little brain got kind of naughty and was like, I wonder if anyone would notice this went missing when we went back home. I would covet things, man, and like try to this could easily slip into my bag.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
I didn't do that, so.
I remember having those feelings when I'd go to friends' houses and they had all the things,
Right.
I felt that way about the Superpowers Batman action figure my friend had, and I'd be like, oh my gosh. Yeah, I know that. I know that feeling.
I did it a couple times, small items, but we'll get to those someday, I'm sure. One of them sort of relates to an obsession of mine that I've mentioned before on the show. So I didn't do that, thankfully. Probably kind of forgot about him after that.
Yeah.
That was, though, when the line was still out in stores, and it's possible that I saw them. Really just don't have any memories like that, and I feel like I would have gone like, oh, I maybe kind of want one of those.
Mm-hmm.
But they won't really work with my Megos, so too tall. I think those basic sports types of figures didn't really work for me, and it may have been a popularity thing too, because this line transitioned, much like G.I. Joe and some other lines, from All-American Sports Dude to the Pack. And that's, I think, where I kind of picked up on it. And so we'll get to that in a little bit. Take another quick break and then return with more on Beastman.
Big Jim's back in commando gear with the first Pack Adventures comic book. You'll see the Whip, Warpath, and Dr. Steel challenging their archenemy, Zorak. Size up the Pack's top secret weapons and see all the explosive action as Big Jim's Pack strikes again in their own comic book adventures. Big Jim in commando gear comes with 16-page Pack Adventures comic book, new from Mattel.
If you're looking for more horror outside of the mainstream, look no further than Unsung Horrors, a podcast about underseen horror movies. I'm Lance.
And I'm Erica. Every other week, we'll cover a horror movie with fewer than 1,000 views on Letterboxd. We'll even give you double feature recommendations to pair with the movies we discuss.
From gothic to shot on video, from slashers to comedies, from giallo to J-horror. We'll cover all the subgenres. So join us as we unearth these hidden gems of horror.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at Unsung Horrors, available wherever you listen to podcasts. And part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
All right, so we are back, and let's hear some more about Beastman.
This is where I'm going to start to transition a little bit from Beastman to associations with the Big Jim line a little bit more, since you're talking about the Big Jim line. But I did want to mention, re-emphasize the varieties of Beastmen over the years. There was the 1987 movie, and for those of you who are fans of Masters of the Universe, you're well aware, but there was a version of Beastman that was in that film with Dolph Lundgren and Courtney Cox that was, the best way I could possibly explain this, severely disappointing for me as a fan of the orange, white-faced, blue eyeliner Beastman. This guy looked more like another character from the Masters of the Universe line called Grizzlor, which I thought was cool because he came with real fur and giant fangs, and he was super brutal looking and interesting in that way, brown in color. But when you have a certain expectation for a film version of a character, you really I don't know about everybody, but for me at least, I want to see what I know. I want to see what I know, and I want to see what's familiar to me. Some of you listening might even know this too. This is a little thing that bothers me about another hairy creature that we all love, Chewbacca. In the prequels, I believe it's the Attack of the Clones, Chewbacca makes an appearance in the background when they go to the planet of Wookiees. He looks significantly older than the Chewbacca that's in A New Hope or the original Star Wars movie. It's like stuff like that just bugs the heck out of me. Like, how hard is it to design a character that lines up with the original concept or the original version of it?
He really didn't need to look any older or younger because he's really old anyway.
Exactly.
That's become canon now, is that he's hundreds of years old or something. So like Yoda or Grogu, there doesn't need to be a significant change in appearance over a fairly short amount of time.
Thank you. And so stick with what works. And what we, the original version of a thing that the fans fall in love with it's usually what people are going to want to see.
Then you get accused of fan service. If you don't do something different, then you just get accused of doing the same old thing. So I sort of understand the conundrum that filmmakers in that are exploring these IPs to the nth degree.
Yeah.
Like, how different do we make it? Well, you can't make it too different. Well, you got to throw this in so people go, I remember that.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. But if you watch the Masters of the Universe movie, that Beastman does not look like Beastman. Now, I've grown to appreciate him as being his own version of Beastman. It just didn't quite do it for me, and I've grown to have a love for that version of the character as I've gotten older, and actually grown to appreciate that movie, which is not a very good movie, but I do like it now.
They really need to do a good live action version of that.
They do, and apparently it's in the works. I mean, it's been in the works off and on for like 20 years. For the company and whoever's, obviously the movie companies are listening to us and Mattel's listening to us. Definitely, put some time and effort into this. And so to transition a little bit to the reused parts, Beastman's basic sculpt became Mossman, who's also one of my favorite action figures. All they did was cast him in green pine scented plastic and then flock him with green moss, and he was Beastman. I mean, he was Mossman after that. What I love about the face sculpt, they didn't bother to change the face sculpt, but because Mossman is a hero, they simply painted over the tips of his fangs so it looked like he had straight teeth rather than fanged teeth. Mm-hmm. And you just gotta love that. I love that thinking. It's just easier this way. Let's just do it this way. Why do a new head sculpt?
Yeah.
And I did have a Mossman as a kid, and Mossman was definitely one of my favorites, and I know it was because of the Beastman sculpt. He's also kind of looking off to the side too, which is, they just painted his eyes, which kind of looks like he has a lazy eye. You gotta love Mossman for being that. So that kind of reused parts is nothing new in toys, and you and I both have an appreciation for that. And for those of you who, to transition a little bit from Beastman over to Big Jim a little bit, there are multiple things from the Big Jim line that made it into Masters of the Universe. We've got the Hawk, which became Screech and became Zor, the bad and good hawk creatures from Masters of the Universe. Zor is the orange, white, and blue, again, great color scheme, hawk that becomes, or eagle that becomes the sorceress. They transition from one to the other. And then Screech is the baddie. It's purple, pink, and blue, I think. I believe there was a hunting Big Jim set that came with a bear. And that was one thing that inspired the Red Beast, which became Beastman. But then there's also, as I mentioned before, the Jungle Adventure Gorilla, which was also an inspiration for Beastman, which became eventually the physical prototype for that character, Gygor, that we mentioned earlier. And then there was I can't remember his name. I should have looked it up before today, but he's the Trapjaw character from the Big Jim line, who was a villain who had a mechanical arm with a hook hand and a mechanical jaw.
Iron Jaw was his name.
Iron Jaw, yes.
As a side note, that was a part of one of the foreign lines, which I'll kind of get into.
Yes.
On my part. I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong. If you're a Big Jim expert, feel free to contact us. But there were a number of figures that were not produced for America. They were produced in other countries. Now, it is very similar to Trapjaw, though.
He is. The biggest difference is that he's 10 inches tall.
Right.
He's not beefy. He's not, he's not swole, as the kids say. And he's wearing like clothes, so he's very cool. He's kind of a pirate looking character. There's a show on Netflix that I feel like did not garner a lot of success, and I forget what it's called, but there's a character in there that looks very much like the Iron Jaw from Big Jim line, and it's about modern pirates. I wish I could remember the name of it. I'm just thinking of it now, so I didn't think to look it up. But I did see the trailer, and I was like, that is either Iron Jaw or Trapjaw inspired.
Interesting.
Yeah, it looks like a super cheesy show, so I haven't bothered to try and watch it. And then there's also the Tigers, the tiger from the Big Jim line, which became the iconic Battle Cat slash Cringer of the Masters of the Universe line, and the Panther of the Masters of the Universe line. I just love this story. They're like He-Man. He's a barbarian. He needs a steed of some sort. And one of the guys from Mattel is just like, here, let's just put him on a cat. And they jokingly said, well, he could be painted anything, green and orange. And so the people took it in the back and painted it green with orange stripes. And it just happened to work. And so that's how we got a giant cat in the Masters of the Universe line. They just reused the Big Jim cat. And I do think, and I'm not an expert on this, we talked about it on Toy Frenzy once, I believe, the cat goes back to a previous line before.
It goes back to Tarzan, which was sort of a prototype of Big Jim. It's the same body. It's a Big Jim figure right before Big Jim happened. And it came with a black cat.
Right. That's
all
right.
black. And then for Big Jim, and again, I believe this was for foreign markets. I don't know that the cat actually came in an American set. It might have. And then it was painted up like a tiger for the Big Jim line. And then, as you've mentioned, reused again.
Yeah.
And it's kind of great that for that 6-inch squatty line of action figures, it kind of works to where he can ride on him.
Yeah.
Obviously, they weren't riding on him in the Big Jim line. It was a more to-scale figure for them.
You know, they created these organic looking sort of H.R. Geiger inspired saddles and a helmet for Battle Cat, and you paint them odd colors, green and orange, and you flock the other one with purple flocking, and before you know it, you have this super weird looking cat steed that's just perfect for this.
Yeah. It's a fantasy line, so it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes so much sense. And, you know, going back to the reusing of the parts, it's just sometimes the answer to what you're trying to create is right in front of you. Just grab that thing off the desk and change it a bit, and there it is.
Yeah.
So I love that. I love that about the Big Jim line. And I always, whenever I go to the antique stores, I always have my eyes peeled for something from the Big Jim line. I would love to eventually find like one of the pieces that was reused in the Masters of the Universe line.
Yeah, I can't say. It's possible that I've seen Big Jim figures over the years, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I don't think they're as common as, you know, going and seeing a G.I. Joe or Star Wars action figures.
Also, they've never, to my knowledge, they've never re-released the Big Jim line. So there's never been that I know of a reissue that would be more common to find in a store like that.
Not in that scale. I think they were going to in a smaller scale at some point. And I don't believe that ever panned out, but there were some figures like prototype released in a maybe 5-inch scale or something, maybe 3 3/4 inch. And I don't even think that they were posable. And they're really odd looking.
Slim Jim.
Yeah. Toy Polloi actually did an episode on the reissue figures.
Oh, yeah. I'll have to go watch that.
I think they were a Comic-Con exclusive or a con exclusive somewhere.
That's cool.
That repurposing, yes, as you've mentioned, is an interesting... It's not quite as interesting as the jump from G.I. Joe to Henshin Cyborg to Microman to Micronauts, but it's got that same kind of vibe where they are cannibalizing their own stuff for a new line. It's strange though that, and they go over this on that Netflix show, The Toys That Made Us, on their Masters of the Universe episode. They talk about the evolution of Big Jim into Masters of the Universe, where much like Kenner taking Adventure People, Fisher-Price Adventure People, to use as their prototypes. I mean, they're taking figures from a completely different company and toy line.
Yeah.
Mattel kit bashed a Big Jim figure into the prototype of He-Man, which I'm sure Masters of the Universe people know all about this. The lore that it was supposed to basically be a Conan the Barbarian toy line, and we won't get into all that. But yeah, I watched most of that first season of that show, and then I just couldn't deal with it anymore. It just seemed like they were being too smug, and it just had an odd tone to it where it felt like they were making fun of the people involved in not only making the toys, but the people that collect them, yet they're fans. I don't know.
Yeah,
it struck a weird, snide kind of tone for me.
It's time for another tangent.
Let's do a little sidebar here. So the guy's name is Brian Volkweiss, the guy behind those. So it took me a little while to understand the snarkiness.
And I hated the narrator. I don't know if it's him, but I hated the narrator.
Yeah, it took me aback as well, because I was like, are they not taking this seriously? And then you realize that it's kind of just like a snarky, hipstery way to share your knowledge. I don't like it, but I definitely tolerate it because unfortunately, there's not a lot of this kind of information out there. So it's just like you take what you can get. That company recently signed on to do these 30-minute episodes for the Disney Plus channel that explore it's called Behind the Attraction. It explores the history of significant rides and attractions at the Disneyland parks. It's the same snarky approach, but
I don't get that.
My thing is I can't not watch it because I can't find those documentaries elsewhere. They just don't exist. And so I'm thankful that that company and that person is doing it. I just feel like as a person who takes these things super seriously, I would rather have sort of a straightforward documentary approach than using editing as a comedic tool.
Or a lighthearted approach. But to me, it's like, feels like they're trying to distance their own love of this stuff so that they don't seem uncool. I don't know. There was just this weird vibe to them that really put me off. So I never watched anything past that first season, and I never watched the series, the movies that made us because of that, and was like, I'm just not interested in feeling like I'm being looked down upon for watching a thing that you produced about stuff that I like. That's a weird tactic to take. And maybe it's just me, but that's how I felt watching that first season of The Toys That Made Us.
I'm with you on that. The only difference between you and me is that I will fucking tolerate it because I want that. I want that information and I want that feeling. So I will tolerate the abuse, the hipster abuse, we'll call it. Just so I can get those images into my brain and get that information in my brain.
I'm of an age now where and I probably said this on the show at some point, life is too short to listen to bad music, watch bad movies, do things that you don't like to do. So that's sort of my take on the world in general. Like, why would I do that if it's not fun?
I will say this really quick. If folks listening to this are like, well, then where do I get that information? Well, there's a really great YouTube channel called Keeping Walt in Disney. If you're interested in like old Disney films or documentary style information, that YouTube channel, Keeping Walt in Disney, does it without the hipster commentary, and it's just straightforward information. So there you go.
You overgrown third coat, you let him get away!
Big Jim's pack members are trouble.
So as I mentioned before the last break, they switched gears for Big Jim, turned him into a spy-like character, leader of the pack. And PAC stands for, I love this, they come up with the stupidest acronyms for things, for toy lines. Professional Agents - Crime Killers.
That's so good. Killers
almost as bad as MODOK's acronym. And then they introduced a new feature for not all of the characters, but many of the characters, the Double Trouble feature. So they would come with an extra action dynamic.
Big Jim, Zorak, and Torpedo Fist with Double Trouble features, each sold separately. You from Mattel.
So most of them still have the chopping arm thing, but there was a version of Big Jim and a new character, an enemy called Zorak, that came with a face-changing, not accessory, what do you call that?
Action feature?
Yeah, action feature gimmick. I have a Zorak.
That's right.
That I bought. I had to look at my Instagram to see when I bought this 6 years ago. And 2 months, so January of 2018. So you lift his arm up and you press the button on his back and his face changes from just like a dude with a mustache, to this green monstery.
Yes.
Very Incredible Hulk-esque type face.
The bared teeth and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a fancy burgundy cape with a gold chain, black pants, and black boots. So he's now the enemy of this pack group. And the Big Jim one does the same thing, but, you know, he's just Big Jim, so it's like this helmet hair of head.
Yes.
And you do the same thing where he's Big Jim and then he's Angry Big Jim. Look that one up because it's just so funny. This big kind of plastic head of hair around his face.
That's what my hair looks like when I try to grow it out. It's like it's basically a helmet of hair.
And so that, again, was repurposed in the Motu line with Manny faces.
That's right.
That was, I think, a little simpler. It's just like a twisty thing on his head, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's a little knob.
So this is kind of cool, and I'm not going to do it now because I'm getting a little wary of cranking up his arm and doing that. Zorak is a figure I remember seeing and liking a lot, and obviously enough to get him. I don't think I spent too much on him, and he's complete.
Mm-hmm.
And in very good shape. I just cleaned his outfit the other day, and in cleaning his pants, it messed up the elastic a little bit because these are not as snug as they were before I cleaned them, which kind of ticks me off a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. That's frustrating.
But he is in great shape. That wasn't the figure, though, that I was obsessed with as a kid. That was a figure who was around since the beginning of the line. He wasn't introduced with the pack, but his backstory kind of changed, and that was Dr. Steel.
Oh, yeah.
The incredible Dr. Steel. You've got Big Jim and Big Jeff hacking across the land, stopped cold by a gleaming hand of the incredible Dr. Steel. With rugged face and strange tattoo, you make him break a bar in two. Make Big Jim and Big Jeff strike a blow. Is he friend or is he foe? The incredible Dr. Steel. Big Jim Safari outfit, Big Jim, Big Jeff, and the incredible Dr. Steel, each sold separately from Mattel.
My friend Jason, of course.
We all know Jason.
Had this figure. And I remember really, really digging this guy.
Yeah,
so
he's cool.
We talked about balding. He is bald.
Yeah.
And I guess he's supposed to be Asian, you know, part of that whole kung fu stuff that was going on in the early to mid 70s. He's got a kick-ass dragon tattoo on his chest.
Oh, yeah.
And all of the figures had a little wolf pack tattoo on their hands. When the line was originally produced and he was a part of it, he was more ambiguous as to whether he was friend or foe.
Mm-hmm.
And they even say that in the ads.
Is he friend or is he foe?
But when they sort of switched to pack, he was part of Big Jim's pack. And he's got this great chromed right hand. I'm not sure where he got his doctorate, but or what it's in, but he's Dr. Steel for whatever reason. And I remember playing with him at Jason's house and really, really I feel like this was after 78 or so when the Big Jim was basically discontinued here in the States. And because I feel like I probably would have gotten him regardless of the scale because I really, really did like him. So the Zorak I got a while ago at a decent price. This was what kind of got me on this kick for this episode. I occasionally look up Big Jim stuff, and the prices for these are ridiculous.
Yes.
And the ones that are decently priced are pretty beat up. And I don't really have a problem with sort of beat up figures, but because of this different rubber on the arms, a lot of times their armpits and stuff have plastic melt.
Oh, yeah. That's too bad.
This one does not. Neither of these figures do, but a lot of the figures I would see on there would have that. And I'm assuming it's from the arms. It could just be from other stuff that was put on them or laid across them.
Yes.
That has that reaction and melts into the harder plastic of the bodies. Most of them, you know, the tattoos are gone because what do you grab when you're a kid when you're playing with them? I had one on my watch list. It was in the $40 range, but it was from the Netherlands, so the shipping was around the same price.
Yep.
So I was just kind of half-assed looking at these. And then one night I hit that search again, and this one popped up for considerably less and for way less shipping, $6 shipping instead of $35 or something.
That's amazing.
And I was like, oh, his chrome looks good from what I can tell in the pictures. He actually has the tattoo on his hand. The tattoo on his chest is barely rubbed.
Yeah.
Pants look good. It doesn't come with shoes or anything. It's just these sort of 3/4 pants, kind of like Incredible Hulk again. And I was like, oh, that looks great.
They're called capris.
Yes. they're shredded on the ends, though, like Hulk's pants from Mego. They're basically the same pants as Zorak's. They're just cut shorter.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, bought it.
Yeah, you
buy it
scored.
now. Showed up, and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to clean his pants like I did Zorak because I don't want the elastic to go out again. But his arms were really dirty, so I was going to clean those and clean the body. So I'm taking off the pants. I'm like, oh, he doesn't move.
Oh, no.
And I get him off, and his left leg had apparently been repaired.
Oh, yeah.
And it looks to me like hot glue was used. And so it's basically shoved into his pelvis, and it makes his leg and his body not move.
Oh, that's too bad.
And I was a little bit disappointed in that.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
And so I'm going to go on a little tangent here about eBay. And I don't know if you've encountered this, but I was looking at something else, a couple other things. And I've noticed that descriptions for items are starting to sound a little weird. People are using AI to generate their item description listings for eBay.
I believe it.
So for this figure, most of the information is correct, kind of vague.
Mm-hmm.
But oddly, it says this figure is made of steel, was made of steel in Hong Kong. So this is the part where the AI thing is not getting the information right.
Yep.
He's named Dr. Steel. He's not made of steel. I obviously know that. But people are going to get themselves in trouble when an item listing doesn't match what the person gets because they've used AI and they haven't edited it.
Yeah.
Because he could have easily cut that line out of the description. I think it went on to say his name is Chop Chop, which is
God.
They have chopping action. So people, if you're going to use AI to generate eBay listing descriptions, you really need to at least look at it and weed out the misinformation. So I messaged the guy and I said, hey, look, I can't leave you feedback because, for one thing, it looks like your description was created using AI.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing is, his leg has been repaired, and that's not mentioned in your description at all, nor do you have any photos of that. So it's either negative feedback or neutral, I guess. I'm not going to look for a return. It displays very nicely, and it is generally in very good condition other than the leg. I think at some point I could possibly swap out a pair of legs for it. For my purposes, for display or whatever, it's fine. He didn't offer like a refund of any amount or anything, but whatever. He did reply and say, oh, I did notice that. I'll do better in the future with my descriptions or some bullshit like that. I'm like, fine. I mean, I hope you do, but don't use AI if you're not going to at least look at what it's spitting out.
He should at least offer you a partial refund because that's just not cool.
It wasn't like a wallet buster type of purchase. Yeah. And otherwise it is in very good shape. And I don't feel like going down a whole thing of like putting in a complaint or whatever.
Yeah.
It's fine. Back onto the figures. There was another one in the line called Torpedo Fist, which had his feature was, I pump up the arm or whatever and press the back and his metallic fist shoots out.
That's cool.
And there is, I believe, which is a horrible name for a figure.
You using the whole fist, Doc?
Just relax.
Fisto, and then there's also Extendar too, who had extendable limbs. It wasn't and Spikor. If you swung him, if you pulled him to one side, they all had the punch feature. He-Man figures, and his was a trident that was up inside of his arm, and so when you twisted his waist and then he swung him out, his trident would shoot out. That kind of punching or fisting action was reused too. Yeah.
Yeah. Great term to use, Ronnie.
Yeah.
Fisting. That's great.
Yeah.
Now with fisting action.
That's right. Oh, that was one of the things too that really pissed a lot of people off in the Masters of the Universe Revelation, the first season. This is produced by Kevin Smith. You know, Kevin Smith has that tendency toward potty humor, and Fisto, the character, shows up in it, and I forget what he says, but it's like definitely tongue in cheek, pertaining to his talent as Fisto. So many fans were like, "Oh my god, you don't have to." We all know, like, you don't have to say it.
That's lowest common denominator stuff.
Yeah. Thank goodness the new season is awesome. It totally makes up for it.
Yeah. So Torpedo Fist. You left out the main connection between your figure today and Big Jim.
Oh, what was that?
What's Beastman's weapon?
Oh, the whip. That's right. Oh my gosh, you're right.
Yeah.
The whip is reused from Big Jim. Thank you.
From a character called the Whip. He was part of the pack.
That's so true. And I'm surprised I forgot about it because it's a really humorous thing. Beastman's hand is smaller, obviously, than the hands of the 10-inch figures from Big Jim. So Beastman holds on to the finger guard instead of the handle. And it's so funny because they actually show his whip that way in the cartoon, just to sort of justify this placement of the whip in this figure.
Because that makes sense.
Hand. Yep. Yeah.
And I don't even know if the Big Jim one came with that. That might have been added to if it had the finger guards. It might have. I don't know. That's a pretty cool character, though. He's got a strap with like 4 or 5 metallic boomerangs strapped to his chest.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, they were interesting figures. It's a cool line that, like I mentioned, stopped here but continued in foreign countries until like the early 80s. They really liked Big Jim, and it got morphed into more like a 007 thing, and they added those weird characters like Iron Jaw. There was one called Vector that has armor kind of like Manny Faces, and Zorak becomes a pirate. So when you do the double trouble action, instead of the green Hulk-like face, it's a skull.
That's so cool.
Yeah, they did all kinds of neat stuff with it. The accessories are cool. The vehicles are cool. I'm kind of trying to look for some karate boards and maybe the pipe that Dr. Steel came with that he karate chopped in half, and see if I can find those for cheap on eBay.
Yeah, definitely.
I think the karate boards come up quite a bit.
Definitely.
But repurpose those molds still happens today.
Yeah, it's. I'm glad. This is sort of a side note too, but based on our talking about repurposing, the Masters of the Universe Origins line and the Masters of the Universe Masterverse line maintain that concept of repurposing. So you have that tradition living on in Masters of the Universe as we enter into modern toy territory.
Use those molds. That's what I say.
That's right.
Use them ingeniously, though. Ingeniously?
Yeah. Think creatively about what's in front of you. Well, yeah, that's it.
All right, we'll take another quick break, and then we'll come back with a shared local locale.
Yes.
It's Big Jim and Torpedo Fist on a Big Jim's pack mission against Double Trouble Zorak.
Hey, this is Jason Kleberg from the Force 5 podcast, a show that forces a guest to come up with a movie-themed top 5 list topic, and then we reveal our picks on air. Top 5 heist films, top 5 tearjerkers, top 5 movie dogs. Every show you'll be asking yourself, what would be on my list? Guests include directors, screenwriters, actors, podcasters, musicians, authors, and even a professional wrestler. Subscribe to the Force 5 podcast, and you won't just be a listener, you'll be a list nerd. The Force 5 podcast, available wherever you're listening now.
Hello, this is Chris Haskell from They Live by Film. For those that don't know us, Adam, Zach, and I, we built a podcast over the last 2 years that's a combination of film discussion from 3 very different perspectives, as well as industry interviews with the leaders in boutique Blu-ray and 4K community. We started with Dev Crocodile, but over time we've been lucky enough to speak with Arrow Video, Severin, Mondo Macabro, Vinegar Syndrome, Radiance, Indicator, most of the OCN partner labels. It's been a blast. You can find us wherever you podcast, and also actually recently as part of Someone's Favorite Production Podcast Network. We hope to see you online.
Okay, we are back, and we are going to talk about a long-standing local locale that has, I know, been present in my life since I was a little kid.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Ronnie? What's your experience with this?
Well,
this is like a big deal Fresno place, I think.
Yeah, if you're from, in fact, if you're from the Central Valley of California, there's a very good chance you've encountered this or eaten here numerous times. And when I was living in Los Angeles, there was one in Lakewood, I think was the name of the town outside of LA, that had one. And it was exciting that they had one. But this is Me and Ed's.
Exciting to you, at least.
It's exciting to me. Yeah. We should preface it by saying that this is not run-of-the-mill pizza as you expect pizza to be. It's a very unique version of pizza. I'm saying that, and people are going to be thinking, "Oh, what is it? Is it?" I'm trying to think of something creative. It's pizza. It is pizza, but it's just.
Well, we'll get into why it's different. Say the name again, because I talked over you.
Yeah, Me and Ed's Pizza, and Me and Ed's Pizza Parlors. Yeah,
Me in Ed. So Me and Ed's.
Yes,
because when you say it, it's kind of like LMNOP. Like Me and Ed's.
Me and Ed's.
So some dude and Ed decided to make pizza.
Yeah.
And it's been around at least since the 50s, I think.
Yeah.
I didn't do any history, but I know it's been around for a good long while.
And no need to. The parlors have not changed. So if you want to go to most Me and Ed's parlors, the one that our family goes to, which is out in Sanger, looks just like the Me and Ed's parlor in the Tower District that my family used to go to. It hasn't changed.
That one's changed, though, because it's now one of those. Yeah, the Tower one, it changed a long time ago.
Oh, I missed that.
They've got that wall of beer where you can just walk up to the spigots and get your beer.
That's too bad.
I don't go into them anymore.
Yeah. Almost every Friday our family gets a Me and Ed's pizza from the one in Sanger. It is... It's an acquired taste. It is not Chicago-style pizza. It is not New York-style pizza. It is not deep dish. It is definitely a thinner crust. It is definitely not like Round Table. It is definitely not like Domino's. Part of what distinguishes Me and Ed's from other pizzas is they've got a cornmeal, crumbly, and almost over-baked pizza crust. It's always crispy.
It's cracker-like.
Yes,
it's a cracker-like. It's almost like, since you're Armenian, you know about this, it makes me think of lavash.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's
not as thin.
Not as thin.
But a lot of places use cornmeal as their sort of ball bearings to get the pizzas in and out, but it seems to stick to this crust a lot more than most other places you go to, right? It's a very different crust from the ones that you mentioned. I have encountered cracker-like crusts this elsewhere. It's not the like billowy, Italian, Sicilian style crust where the edge is super poofed up and sometimes there's hardly any edge to them. We just got one a week or so ago and it was like the sauce was all the way to the end, which I like because I really like their sauce. That is another difference.
Yes, their sauce.
The sauce. Cool. Yeah, so we had one in Sunnyside where the public library branch was that we went to, where Christensen's Market was that I went to and looked at comics, where the optometry or the glasses store was where I first bought my first pair of Ray-Bans was. All that stuff was in this strip mall, and that was where we would go. We would just go and eat there, but many times it was after our night games at Bakeman Field for Little League. So if we didn't get a burger at the snack bar, which were fucking amazing, by the way.
That's nice.
We would go get pizza at Me and Ed's. I think like many people, it was always pepperoni to start with. And then as we got more adventurous, we started getting linguiça on our pizza.
Yeah.
And I have to mention something about this. It was very different than the linguiça that they use now, which is basically cut up like pepperoni, cut up in little spheres and put on there like, a sausage. From what I remember as a kid, when we got linguiça and pepperoni pizza, it was more like almost like bacon that's been cut up and fried, or like how prosciutto turns out when you bake it, where it was very thin and crispy, but like crumbled. So I don't know if they were using like fresh, like chorizo. You can get chorizo that's smoked and cured, or you can get Mexican style chorizo that's just you have to cook as you have to break it up and cook it.
Yeah,
it's almost like it was that kind of linguiça, like it was a fresh linguiça that hadn't been cured or smoked in any way. And my God, that was once we discovered that was what we got. It was always on the pizza. Absolutely loved it. The pizza that I just mentioned that we got a week or so ago had pepperoni and linguiça and black olives on it.
Oh yeah, so good.
Not the same linguiça, but it's still, I love the flavor of it. So yeah, that was where we would go or order from. I don't know if they did delivery back then, but the pizza parlor, just like everybody else, red brick, wooden tables and booths,
arcade games,
yep, and a jukebox.
That's right. Yep.
And it smelled like heaven in there.
It really did, and it does. I will say that the one out in Sanger that I go to it's got a trash collection area behind it, and on hot summer days, boy, does it stink. So you rush in to get inside the pizza parlor just so you have the pizza smell. What my memory of Me and Ed's goes, I mean, I don't recall a time in my life where Me and Ed's wasn't part of my childhood. So it's almost as if it may even have been the first pizza I ever tasted.
I could probably say the same thing.
When I moved to New York for a brief period of time, and when I lived in LA for a brief period of time, I missed two things about the Central Valley food, and that was authentic Mexican food and Me and Ed's pizza. Because no matter how much, if you grow up on Me and Ed's pizza, and you're told and you're taught that New York pizza, a slice of New York pizza is just going to blow your mind or what have you. Sure, it's good, but nothing quite matches the expectation you have of pizza once you've had Me and Ed's. I mean, here's an example. When I remember being in my early teens, we moved to Oakhurst, which is above the Fresno area. They have a pizza place up there called Pizza Factory, which is also a common Central Valley pizza organization. And we got their pizza. It had mushrooms on it.
It had what on it?
Mushrooms. I don't know if you say it like that.
Mushrooms on it.
Mushrooms.
That's great.
Yeah, well, I think I have to say it mushrooms because I discovered that mushrooms on a pizza, if they're not canned, it's not as good because all the mushrooms
I can't do the canned.
All the mushrooms I ever had on a pizza from Me and Ed's were all canned. I grew up with that, and I just love it. There's something about it. And now, of course, that was when I was 12 or 13, so I have a very deep and complicated, delightful relationship to mushrooms now. But when I was a kid, it was just not the same. I was very disappointed that I wasn't getting that cheapo canned mushrooms on my Me and Ed's pizza.
I'm not a fan, but they're tricky though too because they're imported.
Yeah.
So you think that when you order the imported ones, you're actually getting fresh, and you have to order fresh if you don't want the slimy little canned ones.
Yeah. And so I love the slimy little canned ones because of Me and Ed's, but I don't think I would ever eat the slimy little canned mushrooms if it wasn't on a Me and Ed's pizza, because I don't recall ever eating it elsewhere. So
Yeah, we, my sister, when we order over at her house, there's one right down the street that my nephew actually works at, and you get a combo or something, and it's got those canned mushrooms, and we're all kind of like, but I'll eat them. Yeah, the combo, which I'm not a huge fan of, to be honest with you. But the sauce, though, is the other thing. That crackery crust, and then it's a very pasty, tomato paste sauce, and I love it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Too much can be too much, because we've done that before on accident, ordered like extra sauce, and it's like, whoa, this is so rich. But if there isn't enough sauce on it, man, it can be a bummer.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
The place by us, we have one just down the street from us. Just about anywhere you live in town, you've got one pretty close by, and they do a good job of sauce to cheese to topping ratio. Yeah, at some point, we decided as a family that we were tired of it. And so we kind of stopped going for a long time. And there was a round table near, I think it was on Butler and something. So it was out, real sunny side area, kind of even past the IRS, which is way south.
Yeah.
And so we started getting that, and, it was fine. That's normal style pizza with a kind of floppy crust and poofy edges, or we would go out to Aldo's in Clovis for sit-down meals, and we kind of snubbed Me and Ed's for a long time. But I don't know, at some point came back, and it was like, why did I ever leave you?
We did the same thing because we have a pizza factory here in Fowler, and for a while we were like, should we just? It's right around the corner. Let's just eat there now. And we were kind of like okay with letting go of Me and Ed's pizza for a while. And then, just like in The Godfather, you try to leave and they pull you back in. One day my wife was like, no, let's do Me and Ed's again because I miss it. And then we are right back in the fold with Me and Ed's.
And their cheese blend. Their cheese blend too. So those three things, whatever magic combo is going on in there, which has been the same since.
Absolutely.
I mean, they've changed the linguiça a little bit, but yeah, it's, with Carlita not being from here, so for a while there we were getting Da Vinci's because they would have that. They were like $9.99 for a 3-item pizza or something for a good long while, and they're fine, and I don't mind different pizzas, but there's just something about that combo, man. It's magical. And it probably, like you may have mentioned early on, probably wouldn't work for a lot of people. They'd be like, what is the deal with this crust? This sauce is too pasty.
Yeah. It smells different than regular pizza parlors. Like you walk in and it's a very distinct smell.
It's that cheese. It's the cheese, I think, is the smell.
It's the crust. I did hear that they, part of what makes the crust so good is that the ovens are rife with the crusts from the past. So they apparently that cornmeal, it's like just cooking in there and cooking in there and cooking in there, and so you get that sort of flavor that continues throughout all the pizzas. I'm starting to get hungry talking about it.
Yeah, Me and Ed's.
If you're driving through the Central Valley and you want to try a pizza that might be different from any pizza that you've had before, yet somehow the same, then definitely pull over and find a Me and Ed's. Now, I do want to mention that there are a few fancier Me and Ed's that specialize in like specialty pizzas. I guess they tried this on to see if it would make them more popular. And those few restaurants have stuck around. I believe there's one in Clovis, and I believe there's one at River Park.
Yeah.
Don't bother, folks. Don't bother with that. Just go with the traditional pizza parlor, Me and Ed's, and you'll be pleased.
Yeah, we've hit the River Park one in the past, and it's fine.
It's fine. It's not the same.
It's not.
Also,
you can't mess up pizza too bad. I've only had like maybe a handful of just like awful pizzas in my life, but
yeah, that's very true.
There's something distinct about Me and Ed's.
Also, disclaimer, Mark and I are coming from a place of nostalgia with Me and Ed's. Our viewpoint is definitely biased on this. So,
I mean, I wouldn't still be eating it if it didn't taste good or if the quality was shit. So,
that's very true. That's very true.
I'm not beholden to anything from my childhood. just because I liked it back then.
That's true.
Alrighty, well, let's wrap this baby up. And why don't you let folks know where they can find you out in the etherwebs?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram as either Skele Vader, SKELEVADER, where I post a lot of toy photos and links to my YouTube channel. So there's a Skele Vader YouTube channel where I usually show off my builds that I've been working on. Right now I'm working on another Snake Mountain build. And you can also find my art and other projects on my other Instagram account, r_Zerigian, DZERIGIAN. That's where I post for my other projects. Right now, we're still hosting episodes every Thursday night of what used to be called Toy Frenzy. Just recently, we switched Toy Frenzy to The Frenzy, and that's on Thursday nights. And if you're interested in becoming a Patreon of Skele Vader, you can find it either through my YouTube channel or through my Instagram. And we do post early episodes of Cambridge and Washon about a week early, and they're commercial free on there if you're interested in becoming a Patreon. How about you, Mark?
You can find me on social media at Wake Up Heavy, Instagram, Facebook, although I don't post on Facebook, Twitter, Letterboxd if you want to see what I'm watching, which isn't all that much these days. And that's that. And Wake Up Heavy, haven't done anything since November. The Chasing Chevy Chase podcast will be out this month. I think we decided on third Wednesday of the month, or third, I don't know, it's the third week. So look for it wherever you get your podcasts. And there is an option on Spreaker now for podcasts to have subscribers. So I may sign Cambridge on Washon up for that. I don't know the details exactly, but since I'm not really actively doing Patreon, I may see what that is all about. And I don't know if it's where I could release the episodes early there for people that want to pay for it and listen to it without ads, or if it's just, extra stuff. I don't do the extra stuff thing. So I'll look into it. So that may be an option. We don't honestly have that many Spreaker-only listeners, so that may not even be worth the trouble. But at some point, that may be an option. And if it does happen, I will let people know.
That's cool.
When it does. All right, so until next time, Ronnie, take it away with the outro because I still have yet to put it on my computer.
All right. I just thought of one extra thing to mention, too. You can also follow Cambridge and Washon on Instagram, so find us there as well. All right. Remember, until we meet again, have fun, stay weird, and keep collecting. Bye-bye.
And thanks for listening.
And thanks for listening.
And don't be a dick.
Amen.
Don't create a show and be snarky about toy collectors.
Yeah. Don't make people feel dumb about their interests.
I'm leaving all this in, by the way.
Yeah, yeah, good.
I'll show you all the true power of Beastman. You haven't seen the last of me.
You turn Big Jim fierce and make Torpedo Fist punch out. A pack victory. Till next time.
Where the hungry people go for pizza is the place for you to stop. Where the hungry people go for pizza is the place for you to drop in. B&A's is the place where pizza's at its very best. B&A's Pizza is the satisfyingest. You love the pizza B&A's serves, and you really know B&A's pizza parlors are where the hungry people go.
Cambridge and Washon is a Weirding Way Media podcast.
Hello, my name is Kevin Tudor, and I'm one of the 3 hosts of Almost Major, a film podcast dissecting many major indie studios and the films they release. Every week, myself, Charlie Nash, and Bryden Doyle discuss overlooked, forgotten, or bona fide classic indie films via studio-specific miniseries. We've previously covered numerous films from Artisan Entertainment, Lionsgate Films, and New Line Cinema. Titles including The Blair Witch Project, American Psycho, Dogville, But I'm a Cheerleader, Saw, Requiem for a Dream, and Ringmaster, you know, the Jerry Springer film. Anyways, we have a fun time every week and we hope you will join us. Subscribe to Almost Major wherever you get your podcasts. Now proudly a part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.